everyone, welcome back. Are you ready to dive into something a little unsettling today?
I think so. Always ready for a good deep dive.
Yeah, well, today we're looking into Todd Kohlhepp.
Oh, wow.
Right. The seemingly successful real estate agent who is actually living a double life as a serial killer.
Uh, a case that really gets under your skin, doesn't it?
It does, and we're using John Douglas's book, The Killer Across the Table, as our main source here.
Oh, a classic.
Yeah, and it's especially interesting because Douglas actually sat down and interviewed Kohlhepp himself.
Oh, wow. That's right. That direct access to the mind of a killer, it's invaluable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Gives us a real chance to understand what makes someone capable of such horrific acts.
Yeah, we hear about these cases in the news all the time, but
Mm.
to really understand, you got to go deeper.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we're doing today.
Love it.
Okay, so we know Kohlhepp was able to blend in for years, had a business, a career. People even thought he was charming.
I know, right?
But looking back, the signs were there
Oh, yeah.
from a very early age.
From a very early age.
So what kind of red flags are we talking about here?
Well, even in childhood, there were some disturbing behaviors,
Mm.
torturing animals, fits of rage, and just a complete lack of remorse.
That's
It
chilling.
really is. Like, the empathy switch was just off.
It's unsettling just to think about.
I know.
And it feels like these early warning signs, they're often missed or just dismissed.
Sadly, that's often the case. People think, oh, it's just a phase,
Yeah.
or boys will be boys,
Right.
without recognizing that these actions could be symptoms of something much, much deeper and much more dangerous.
For sure. And it wasn't just minor incidents either. At 15, Kohlhepp kidnapped and sexually assaulted a 14-year-old girl, even threatened to kill her.
It's hard to fathom, isn't it,
Mm.
that someone so young could commit such a brutal act.
It really is. And yet he only served 15 years for that crime.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting and troubling from
Yeah.
a psychological perspective,
Yeah.
Adolescence is such a crucial developmental period, and this kind of extreme violence at that age, it's a huge red flag,
A missed opportunity for sure.
a huge missed opportunity for intervention, a
Uh,
chance to potentially, alter his path.
right before more damage was done.
Exactly.
So he gets out of prison, seems to turn his life around on the surface at least,
Right.
earns a business degree, becomes a real estate agent, outwardly successful.
Seems like a classic success story.
But all the while, he's leading this horrific double life.
It's unbelievable.
How can someone compartmentalize like that?
Well, that duality is one of the most chilling aspects of this case, isn't it?
It is.
Really highlights the power of compartmentalization,
Mm.
and how a seemingly normal facade can hide a dark and dangerous undercurrent.
Yeah.
You have to
Wow.
remember that serial killers, they aren't always the stereotypical loners we see in movies.
That's true.
They can be highly functional, even charming individuals.
Like Kohlhepp.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the Superbike Motorsports murders in 2003. 4 people killed, and the case went cold for years.
Can you imagine the families just waiting for answers all that time?
I know, and all that time, Kohlhepp is just going about his life maintaining this charade.
It's just awful.
It really is. And what makes it even more disturbing is that Kohlhepp's motive for the Superbike murders was this perceived humiliation.
It's insane.
He felt mocked by the employees because he didn't have much riding experience.
Seriously.
So his ego was hurt.
Wow.
And that led to this brutal act of violence.
That speaks volumes about his personality, wouldn't you say?
It really does.
Absolutely. It points to a deeply ingrained narcissism.
Right.
This wasn't a crime of passion.
Right.
This was a calculated act of revenge, fueled by an inability to handle even the slightest criticism.
Wow.
This fragile ego, this need to assert dominance, it's a recurring theme in Kohlhepp's psyche.
It's scary.
And it's something we see time and again in individuals who commit these acts of violence.
And this wasn't an isolated incident. Kohlhepp later admitted to burying other bodies on his property,
Yeah, the guy was a predator, hiding in plain sight.
using his real estate business as a cover to continue his crimes.
What's truly frightening, and something I think everyone listening should consider, is how calculated all of this was.
Yeah.
He wasn't just randomly killing. He was meticulously planning, executing, and concealing his crimes.
So methodical.
He chose victims he thought wouldn't be missed, buried them carefully, and just continued to function in society
It's terrifying.
as a seemingly upstanding citizen. This level of premeditation speaks to a chillingly detached and methodical mind.
And then in 2016, Calla Brown and her boyfriend, Charlie Carver, disappeared.
Oh, right.
Authorities were able to trace Brown's phone to Kohlhepp's property.
And what they found there brought his reign of terror to an end.
They found Calla Brown alive, chained inside a metal container on his property.
Oh my gosh.
She'd been held captive for 2 months.
It's hard to even fathom the terror she must have endured.
It's a truly harrowing story of survival.
It is, but Cola's experience, as horrifying as it was, is also incredibly valuable from an investigative standpoint.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
it provides a unique window into Kohlhepp's psyche, his methods, and the depths of his depravity.
Brown told police that Kohlhepp had murdered her boyfriend Charlie Carver right in front of her.
Oh gosh.
And that wasn't all. He bragged about his other victims, including those from Superbike Motorsports.
Think about the courage it took for her to come forward with this information.
Right.
She had survived this horrific ordeal, but he could still come after her.
Right.
Her testimony was absolutely critical in piecing together his crimes and bringing him to justice.
Absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
It's incredible that she was able to hold on to hope and her own sanity through all of that. And
Mm.
ultimately, her survival was a turning point, not just in this case, but in understanding Kohlhepp himself.
Right.
He couldn't hide anymore.
Exactly. Her strength and resilience, not only in surviving, but in providing those crucial details, cannot be overstated.
Yeah, and without her account, we might not have the full picture of his crimes or the depth of his depravity.
Absolutely not.
And this brings us to a point that we've touched on earlier, those early warning signs.
Oh, yeah.
Those disturbing behaviors in Kohlhepp's childhood. The cruelty to animals, the explosive anger, the complete lack of remorse.
Right.
Those weren't just typical kid stuff.
Right. They were flashing red lights, indicators of a dangerous pattern that sadly wasn't addressed effectively.
Yeah, it's a reminder that we, as a society, we need to be more aware of these signs in young people and to take them seriously.
So true.
We can't just write them off as boys will be boys or assume they'll grow out of it.
Right.
It makes you wonder about the what ifs, right? What if those early signs had been recognized and addressed?
Yeah.
Could things have turned out differently?
It's a question that haunts many of these cases.
It really does.
Early intervention is critical.
Absolutely.
We need to provide the necessary support, therapy, and resources to address these issues before they escalate. It's not about labeling every child who misbehaves as a future criminal, but about creating an environment where mental health is prioritized and where kids who are struggling can get the help they need.
And it also points to a need for a more effective criminal justice system.
Oh, for sure.
One that's better equipped to deal with individuals like Kohlhepp, not just punish them, but potentially rehabilitate them.
Absolutely. The goal should be to prevent future tragedies, not just react to them.
Right.
We need a system that focuses on understanding the underlying causes of criminal behavior and provides opportunities for rehabilitation and reintegration into society.
So we've discussed the early warning signs, the chilling details of Kohlhepp's crimes, and the significance of Calla Brown's testimony.
Yeah, a lot to unpack there.
But let's shift gears a bit and delve into what John Douglas, the author of our source material, reveals about Kohlhepp's personality.
Okay.
He identifies some key traits that help us understand this killer's mindset.
Right. Well, one of the most prominent traits is Kohlhepp's extreme narcissism.
Oh, yeah.
He truly believed he was superior to others above the law, even above basic human decency.
Wow.
He saw his victims as objects, as playthings for his own amusement.
And then there's a chilling lack of remorse, the way he would smirk when talking about his crimes, almost as if he was proud of them.
Yeah, that's a hallmark of psychopathy, this inability to empathize with others, to grasp the pain and suffering they experience.
Right.
And that's what makes individuals like Kohlhepp so dangerous. They lack the fundamental human connection that prevents most of us from committing such acts.
Absolutely. And Douglas also talks about Kohlhepp's manipulative charm.
Oh, yeah, he was very good at that.
This is how he was able to build his business, gain the trust of his clients, and ultimately lure some of his victims into his web.
Classic tactic of psychopathic predators.
Yeah.
They use charm, wit, and intelligence to disarm their victims, to make them feel safe and comfortable, all while plotting their demise.
It's a chilling reminder that evil can wear a friendly face.
It really can.
And that need for control, for domination, that's evident in the way he kept Calla Brown captive. Absolutely. The way he meticulously planned and executed his crimes.
Right.
It wasn't just about killing.
It was about power.
It was about exerting power over his victims, about playing God.
Exactly. There's a sadistic element to it, a desire to inflict suffering and to revel in the control he had over another person's life.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was able to maintain this facade of normalcy for so long makes it even more terrifying.
So we've laid out the chilling details of Kohlhepp's crimes and the disturbing portrait of his psyche.
We have.
But what does it all mean? What can we as listeners take away from this horrific case?
That's the crucial question, isn't it?
It is.
We can't just dwell on the horror.
Right.
We have to extract meaning, learn from the darkness.
One thing that really stands out to me is how easily he blended in.
Yeah.
It shatters that stereotype of serial killers being social outcasts, loners, lurking in the shadows.
Right.
Kohlhepp was successful, seemingly normal, someone you might encounter in your everyday life.
And that's a terrifying thought, isn't
But
it? It forces us to confront the fact that evil can wear many masks, that it can hide in plain sight.
Right.
We have to be vigilant, trust our instincts, and never dismiss red flags, no matter how small they may seem.
And on that note, those early warning signs, they're so important.
Oh, they are so important.
Kohlhepp's childhood behaviors, the assault when he was a teenager, those were clear indications that something was wrong.
Yeah.
But somehow those warnings were missed or the system failed to intervene effectively.
It's a tragic reminder that we can't afford to ignore these signs.
Right.
That we need to take them seriously and intervene early on.
Early intervention is key.
It is. We need to be more aware of the factors that contribute to violent behavior. Things like childhood trauma, mental health issues, and exposure to violence.
Right.
And we need to create a society that prioritizes prevention and early intervention.
And then there's the incredible strength of Kayla Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Her survival wasn't just a matter of luck.
Right.
It was her resilience, her will to live that ultimately led to Kohlhepp's capture. And her willingness to speak out to share her story was instrumental in bringing him to justice.
Her case highlights the critical role that victims play in these investigations.
Absolutely.
Their voices are powerful, and we need to create a culture where survivors are heard, believed, and supported.
Kohlhepp's case really forces us to confront some uncomfortable truths about human nature.
It does.
If someone like him, who built a successful life and a respectable facade, could harbor such monstrous secrets, what does that say about the capacity for evil that exists within us all?
It's a chilling thought, and one that we can't shy away from.
Right.
We need to acknowledge that darkness exists even in the most unexpected places.
Absolutely.
But that awareness shouldn't paralyze us with fear.
So how do we balance this awareness with living our lives trusting people without being consumed by paranoia?
It's a delicate balance, and there are no easy answers.
Right.
But I think it starts with education. The
Education.
more we understand about the warning signs, the tactics that predators use, the better equipped we'll be to identify and avoid potentially dangerous situations.
So knowledge is power.
Exactly.
And recognizing those red flags, trusting our gut instincts, those are crucial steps in protecting ourselves and those we care about.
Could not agree more.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, and I, for one, am ready to step away from this case for a little bit.
Oh, yeah, me too.
But before we go, I want to hear your final thoughts on this whole thing.
You know, it's cases like this that really remind us that evil can lurk anywhere, even in the most unexpected places.
Sobering thought.
It is. But I think the key takeaway here is that we can't let fear control us.
Right.
We need to be informed, we need to be vigilant, but we also need to remember that there is still good in the world.
Absolutely. Well said.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the disturbing world of Todd Kohlhepp.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.
And until next time, stay safe out there
Stay curious.
and keep exploring the depths of the human experience.
Bye, everyone.
It's like equipping ourselves with a mental toolkit, right? We can learn to recognize those warning signs, those subtle cues that something might be amiss, and then take appropriate action.
Precisely. It's about being informed, not fearful.
Yeah.
We don't want to live in a state of constant suspicion, but we also can't afford to be naive.
Right.
There are real dangers out there, and awareness is our best defense.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the unsettling case of Todd Kohlhepp, I'm left with this lingering question.
Yeah.
If someone who seemed so normal, so successful, could harbor such darkness, how can we ever truly know what lurks beneath the surface of those around us?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And unfortunately, there's no easy answer.
Right.
We can't read minds, and we can't always predict human behavior.
Of course not.
But we can be more attuned to the subtle signs, the inconsistencies, the things that just don't quite add up.
And maybe that's the biggest takeaway from this case, the importance of trusting our gut instincts.
Oh, absolutely.
If something feels off, if someone gives you a bad vibe, don't ignore those feelings. Our intuition is often trying to tell us something important.
Absolutely. We have this incredible ability to sense danger, to pick up on subtle cues that our conscious mind might miss.
Yeah,
It's that primal instinct that's kept humans alive for centuries.
right.
Don't discount it.
And what about practical steps? What can we do in our daily lives to protect ourselves and those we care about?
Well, education is key.
Okay.
The more we understand about the nature of evil, the tactics predators use, the warning signs of dangerous behavior, the better prepared we'll be to identify and avoid potential threats.
So it's about empowering ourselves with knowledge, not living in fear.
Exactly.
Are there specific resources you recommend for people who want to learn more?
There are a wealth of resources available: books, documentaries, websites dedicated to criminal psychology and personal safety.
Wow.
The FBI even has a website with information on how to protect yourself and your family from crime.
I didn't know that.
And of course, there are podcasts like this one which delve into these cases and provide insights from experts.
That's a great point. We often think of these true crime stories as entertainment, but they can also be incredibly educational.
Right.
They give us a glimpse into the criminal mind and help us understand the patterns of behavior that we need to be aware of.
Exactly. And I would add that it's important to have open and honest conversations with your loved ones about safety.
Oh, for sure.
Talk to your children about stranger danger, about trusting their instincts, about what to do if they feel threatened.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to discuss these topics with adults as well.
It's about creating a culture of awareness and prevention, starting in our own homes and communities.
Exactly.
And if you ever find yourself in a situation where you feel unsafe, don't hesitate to seek help.
Right?
There are resources available, hotlines, support groups, law enforcement that can provide guidance and assistance.
Remember, you're not alone. There are people who care, who want to help, and who are dedicated to making the world a safer place.
So as we conclude our deep dive into the chilling case of Todd Kohlhepp, we hope this episode has provided you with some valuable insights and, most importantly, a sense of empowerment.
I hope so.
We've explored the dark side of human nature, but we've also highlighted the importance of awareness, prevention, and resilience.
Let's honor the memory of Kohlhepp's victims by committing ourselves to a world where evil is exposed, where predators are held accountable, and where the voices of survivors are heard and believed.
Well said. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Stay safe out there, and until next time, keep exploring the depths of the human experience.
Yeah, it's like giving ourselves that extra layer of protection, right? Arming ourselves with the knowledge to recognize those red flags, those little things that tell us something's just not right.
Exactly. Being informed, not living in fear. We don't want to be constantly looking over our shoulder, but we can't be naive either.
Yeah, there's a balance there for sure.
There is. Real dangers are out there, but awareness is our best defense. As we're wrapping up this deep dive into Todd Kohlhepp, I keep coming back to this one question.
Okay, yeah.
If someone who seemed so normal, so successful, could be hiding such darkness, how can we ever really know what's going on beneath the surface?
Yeah.
With anyone.
That's the question, isn't it? And honestly, there's no simple answer.
Yeah, I figured.
We can't read minds.
Right.
And we can't always predict how someone's going to act.
True.
But we can be more aware of those little signs, those things that are off, those things that just don't quite add up.
So paying attention to the details.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the biggest thing we can take away from this case, trusting our gut.
100%.
If something feels wrong, if you get a bad vibe from someone, don't ignore it.
Our intuition is powerful. It's often trying to tell us something important.
And we've talked about this before, but I think it bears repeating, that primal instinct. It's kept us alive for centuries.
It has. Don't underestimate it.
What about practical steps? Things people can actually do in their daily lives to protect themselves and their loved ones?
Well, like we've said, education is key.
Yeah, knowledge is power.
Yeah, it is. The more we understand about the nature of evil, about how predators operate, the warning signs to watch out for, the better prepared we'll be.
So we can spot those potential threats.
And avoid them.
Are there any specific resources you'd recommend for people who want to learn more about this stuff?
Absolutely. There's a wealth of information out there. Books, documentaries, websites, all about criminal psychology and personal safety.
That's great.
The FBI even has a website with tips on protecting yourself and your family from crime.
I had no idea.
And of course, there are podcasts like ours that delve into these cases and talk to experts.
Right. And it's interesting because we often think of true crime as entertainment.
Yeah.
But it can be so much more than that.
It can be really educational.
Yeah, it gives us a glimpse into how criminals think and helps us understand those patterns of behavior.
And it's important to talk about these things openly and honestly with the people we care about.
Oh, absolutely.
Talk to your kids about stranger danger, about trusting their gut about what to do if they ever feel threatened.
Yeah, those are important conversations to have.
Don't be afraid to have those conversations with other adults too,
Right, it's about creating a culture of awareness and prevention.
in our homes and in our communities.
And if anyone out there is ever in a situation where they feel unsafe, please don't hesitate to reach out for help.
There are so many resources available: hotlines, support groups, law enforcement people who are trained to help.
Good care.
And remember, you are not alone. There are people who want to help and who are working to make the world a safer place.
So, as we close out this deep dive into the chilling case of Todd Kohlhepp, we hope you've gained some valuable insights and, most importantly, a sense of empowerment.
Absolutely.
We've explored the dark side of humanity, but we've also talked about the importance of awareness, prevention, and resilience.
And let's not forget the victims. Let's honor their memory by working towards a world where evil is brought to light, where predators are held accountable, and where survivors are heard and believed.
Powerful words. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Stay safe out there, and until next time, keep exploring the depths of the human experience.
See you next time.